Hello all, my name is Circadia, and welcome back to Lumiapedia, where we learn about the newest test subjects joining us on Lumia Island. Today, we'll be meeting Vanya. The butterflies from Vanya's fantasy guide her to victory, harming enemies while defending her at the same time. Vanya utilizes both sustained damage over time and shields.
The butterflies will show me the way.
Vanya's playstyle is centered around constantly activating her passive for shields to control damage taken while closing in on her target using her high mobility. Let's first talk about Vanya's skills. Vanya's kit involves her Q, Guiding Light, W, Butterfly Embrace, E, Yearning, and her ultimate is Sand Dust. By combining her passive and Q, Vanya can create shields for durability, while W and E grant her mobility. Vanya's passive is Dream of a Butterfly. Her first passive is Fantasy, where her basic attacks deal extra damage every few seconds. The second part of her passive is Dream of a Butterfly. Vanya applies a stack on her enemies every time she hits a skill. When Vanya applies 4 stacks, a butterfly emerges, dealing damage over time and granting Vanya a shield. Vanya's Q is Guiding Light. Vanya sends out a guiding butterfly that deals damage to enemies. The butterfly then returns to Vanya, dealing damage again on its return. Catching a butterfly on its way back reduces the skill's cooldown and grants Vanya a Dream of a Butterfly shield. Vanya gets many benefits for retrieving the butterfly. We highly suggest pilots keep track of the returning butterfly while fighting for better results. Butterfly Embrace is Vanya's W. Vanya takes flight, dealing damage around her and getting a movement speed bonus that decays over time. Recasting W allows Vanya to cast the butterfly effect. Vanya flies up higher in place, making herself untargetable for 1 second. Vanya then knocks enemies up and deals damage on the way down. Casting the butterfly effect increases the cooldown on her W. Vanya's Butterfly Embrace is great for Vanya when fighting up close. Not only does she do damage over time, but the skill is also a great way for Vanya to gain shields from her passive. Experienced players can also use the movement speed to dodge dangerous enemy abilities. The butterfly effect can be used to dodge enemy attacks when in a pinch, but players should be cautious with the cooldown penalty that comes with the butterfly effect. With the skill on cooldown, Vanya loses a lot of dueling potential. Vanya's E is Yearning. Vanya flies toward her selected direction while becoming unstoppable. Vanya damages enemies in her path and deals bonus damage to enemies in the outer range of the skill. Enemies hit by the outer range are also slowed. The outer range has bonus effects, but hitting the tip while casting the skill max range makes the skill avoidable for the enemies. We recommend being careful when using the skill aggressively. Vanya's ultimate is Sand Dust. By spreading the sand dust, Vanya deals damage to enemies and puts her enemies into a drowsy state. Drowsing enemies are slowed and eventually fall asleep. Enemies are woken up when hit. Sleeping is a new crowd control introduced to the game along with Vanya. Enemies cannot move or attack for the duration, but are awakened right after being hit. Vanya's Butterfly Embrace is an exception and does not wake up enemies. Vanya's ultimate hits enemies in a wide range and spreads sand dust in the pre-indicated area after delay. Even after Vanya moves after casting, sand dust is fired from the first placement of the animation. Once you get your enemies to fall asleep, you can ensure your combo hits. Vanya bases her playstyle on the mobility from her skills, as well as the shield that allows her to keep her HP high while whittling down her enemies. Outside her ultimate and slow on Yearning, Vanya does not have any other crowd control. Focus on using your mobility to avoid important enemy skills and constantly keep your shield up to press the attack against the enemy. Vanya is reliant on cycling skills to constantly strike enemies to fill stacks for her passive. We made sure to include cooldown reduction in our build. We wanted to be sure we could finish our plan fast to farm animals to level our passive and skills ASAP. We chose the Hermit for the weapon. The weapon is easy to route while having Hex to force enemies to stay in combat as well as deal continuous damage. For the chest piece, Covert Agent Uniform. The stats one by one aren't the most amazing, but gives Vanya a lot of the stats she wants, including cooldown reduction and skill amp. We picked Motorcycle Helmet for the head. We believe this skill amp headpiece is great for Vanya, who needs to use basic attacks for their enhanced basic attack damage. Vanya can also cycle basic attacks while keeping distance against the enemies using the attack speed it offers. Drop Mirror will be our arm piece. Drop Mirror is an all-around great piece with skill amp and defense. We have cooldown reduction from our other gear, so going with the Reliant Drop Mirror was our choice. We went with Tachyon braces for our legs. Tachyon braces comes with a high amount of cooldown reduction, making it our go-to pick for Vanya. And finally, Veritas Lux Mea is our accessory. This accessory not only has the stats we want, the item also has an active that heals Vanya over time. We also recommend carrying around a Schrodinger's box in case you ever need healing reduction against enemies. Vampiric Bloodline was our choice as the main augment. The augment complements Vanya's playstyle of winning sustained fights to whittle down enemies. While Healing Factor can complement Vanya's shields, she does not utilize the attack power well. Therefore, we went with Vampiric Bloodline for the bonus skill amp. For our sub-augments, we went with Stopping Power for bonus damage and Quench to help with farming wild animals. We went with Assembly for the shield when using Ultimate and Penny Pincher to push early advantages. The plan we will be using is a 4-zoner between Chapel, Temple, Hospital, and Pond. The first zone is Chapel. We need 2 Saints relics in the build, so we chose Chapel first. We are planning to use milk for food, so feel free to eat all the bread in your starting inventory. Do not pick up a box here, we can get that again at Pond. The second zone is Temple. Temple is often the starting zone for a lot of characters. If you feel like the loot distribution has already been looted, we advise moving to a different distribution to find your items. You can also look at the map at the start of the game to see where players spawned in Temple to see where players have likely looted. Our third zone is Hospital. Make sure to craft all your items fast to farm the wolves that spawn in the zone. We recommend farming the wolves close to a Hyperloop first, then walking towards the Pond Bridge and farming the wolves on the way. Fourth zone is Pond. You can finish your items here and get ready to fight over the bears if needed. Once you finish eliminating the bears, you're good to go. Whether you're a new player or a veteran player, we hope you enjoyed meeting our 64th test subject, Vanya. This was Circadia once again for Lumiapedia, signing off until next time.